Hello, everyone's Forest Focus after a crazy 24 hours for Nottingham Forest as they prepare to spend almost £100 million on three players, with one more to come in beyond that potentially. Also, Nuno'S told Sky Sports he's very worried about where Forest are right now. And then there's the small matter of the opening game of the season at the weekend. So joining me to discuss all that in the first part of the show today is Michael Temple. Temps, morning, how are you?
Morning, Matt. Feeling good, actually. I'm in London today. I was at Lord's for the Rockets fixtures yesterday. Bit of Forest chat this morning, and it looks like there's a fair bit happening.
Oh, man, there certainly is. Certainly is. So how this is going to work for people who are listening, chat with Temps for about 10, 15 minutes on the events of yesterday. In classically terrible timing, I recorded with Lewis and Emily for the match preview and a bit of transfer chat. So I'll play that in straight after I finish with Temps. So it's a bit all over the place, but it'll come together, I'm sure. It'll be a good show. Right, let's start with transfers then. We do discuss Kalimuendo with Lewis and Emily and McAtee, but there are two more players. So Forest looked set to sign Arnaud Kalimuendo from Rennes for 26 million, James McAtee for 30 million, including a sell-on clause and a buyback clause from Manchester City. And then later last night, David Ornstein tweeted that Forest are set to sign, or they've had a bid accepted for Omari Hutchinson for 37.5 million from Ipswich. I see Florian Plettenberg has tweeted just now that the deal is on the verge of being finalised, 37.5 million as mentioned. So there's that. And then Sky Sports tweeted that Forest are in talks with Juventus over Douglas Luiz. It doesn't say anything about loan or permanent in that. So that's crazy transfer stuff all happening in the last 24 hours, Temps. What's your general thoughts on all that?
All high quality players coming into Forest. I think that all of those boys will be expecting to be competing for a first team place, and we're going to need that depth. The frustrations that we had last year were that beyond that central core of 12, 13 players, there wasn't enough impact from the bench. So we need numbers, we need bodies, but we need quality as well. And you can see with this shortlist here, we are now able to attract a type of player, an ilk of player that wouldn't have been available to us at this stage last season or the season before. So I'm excited about all four of those prospects. They're not obscure names that we know nothing about. These are players that are match ready. They can make a big impact in the squad, and we hope some of them emerge and make big impacts in the team as well. But it's a statement of intent to drop that level of finance on players who are clearly very, very high up our target list and are keen to move to Forest. I think it bodes really, really well. And if we get these four deals across the line, I think we'll all feel far more buoyed about our chances of competing on multiple fronts.
Yeah, and we'll still have a couple of fullbacks to come in as well, no doubt. So exciting. I mean, one of the things that struck me last night, flicking through Twitter when I got in, I went out last night for the first time in ages and missed most of this. Was seeing, I think I saw Fulham fans, Newcastle fans, Palace fans, all saying, "Wow, look at Forest! Look at what they're doing, look at what their owner's doing." It does make clubs take notice. It is exciting, and maybe we'll have PSR questions in a year, which we'll have and discuss, but they're a conversation for another day right now. But it is kind of exciting, isn't it, when you see these things happening and other Premier League fans saying, "Wow, look at Forest."
It shows the tiers as well, Matt, of European competition. I don't think, well, let's say 2, 1, or none of these deals get done from the Conference League, both because of the finance available and the ambition of that player who judges a club on this stage purely on the European competition that we're in. I think this is the benefit of that. And also has influenced the timing of that. We couldn't have made these moves with this confidence, with this level of fee, if our financial projections were based on earnings from the Conference League. So I think that's a major reason why we haven't pulled the trigger on deals in quite such an aggressive manner that we are now. Yes, we're making up time, but these feel like really decisive moves.
Yeah, I think you're right about McAtee. I don't think he'd have come. He might have gone to Germany. Hutchinson probably would. I don't know about Luiz if he signs, and Kalimuendo maybe the same as well. I think he'd rejected a couple of moves to Premier League clubs without European football. Leeds, by the sound of it, certainly. So yeah, I mean that's interesting. Just on McAtee, we discussed him a lot. The only thing we haven't discussed is the buyback clause and the sell-on clause. Is that just something you have to do with Man City now after they got burned by Cole Palmer?
Yeah, I don't think they'll ever get over that experience, will they? But Oh, look, do they always have to do it? No, of course they don't. And it's something that you could buy out for a higher fee, but Forest have to hedge their bets and find creative ways to get this deal done. Let's say plus £5 million removes a buyback fee, or plus £5 million removes a sell-on clause. Do Forest want to commit that money at this point when the PSR calculation could be tight at a particular point? The creative ways, the clauses, the add-ons, the manner in which these things are put together now is more complex than ever. I mean, look, it would take an awful lot of development and consistency of performance for Man City to come back in and grab James McAtee. But I suppose it's a statement of the esteem in which they hold him. They feel he may have a chance of developing to a point where he can influence their aims, which are to set out to win the Champions League and the Premier League every year. I'm not too concerned about the buyback or the sell-on at this point. I think we should just celebrate having another young, hungry English talent wanting to come to our club. The noises we've heard of that he's been positive on Forest for a long time, and I think his quality and his utility value will add a lot to our setup.
Just on the Hutchinson fee, I can't remember if you were on when we discussed it. I know Mark was, I think it was Pete and Dan. Their consensus there was 35 million was probably a lot, and you wouldn't want to go any higher. Looks like Forest gone to 37.5 million. Is that steep for him, or do we just not even worry about the fee as fans anymore?
Well, I think where the alarm has come from there is, in relative terms, we probably rate McAtee as a more valuable player than Omari Hutchinson. Who knows how that will play out? He had a £35 million buyout clause in there, didn't he? If anyone's willing to pay cash up front before a particular point, we didn't do that. There's no knowledge at this stage if the fee is paid in instalments or is a lump up front. But yeah, it does feel slightly north of, I think, his true market value. He wasn't free scoring with Ipswich, despite being impressive and demonstrating his potential. But he's a high quality player, and we've put the finance into the deal that was required to get it across the line. So not too concerned. And again, English at that age, unbound potential. He's going to appreciate in value. And it's really, really refreshing to see Forest buying players of an age profile and at that part of their development where they will have value in the future. There's been too many times in the past where players have left for nothing, or have taken punts on older, supposedly more established players. This is the type of player that we need to sign that can develop and grow with us.
There's lots of Callum Hudson-Odoi chat at the end with Lewis, so I'll leave that for the end of the show. Otherwise, it'll be all over the shop even more so. Just on Luiz, then. I mean, we did a piece yesterday. John Percy did a piece discussing Yunus Musa and Mateus Fernandes. Still no Luiz mentioned in there, so it's still interesting. But now Sky Sports reporting it, which is more to stand up a lot more. So where are you at on this kind of midfield shake-up situation? Do you have a preference of Luiz, Fernandes, Musa, anything like that?
I think we need to supplement these young prospects with established talent. And Douglas Luiz is exactly that. He'll be leaving Juventus. And I think the rumour has lingered, hasn't it? There's obviously been some interest and some contact. When the deal was rumoured to be closer than we now know it was last week, the numbers seemed a bit off. There were quotes of us offering 55, 65k a week, which is nowhere near the level of finance required for Douglas Luiz to agree a salary package, in my view. But I like it. We need depth there. We have lost Danilo and Lewis O'Brien. The Sangari question mark remains. We know Yates is going to have a role, but not be an automatic pick. So finding that player that we can ink in our Premier League starting 11 alongside Ellie Anderson and Morgan Gibbs-White is extremely important. And I think Douglas Luiz could become that.
So one of the questions I probably should have asked is this coming too late? Which leads into what Nuno's been saying to Sky Sports. Really interesting comments from a manager, really going quite full on with it. So this is what he told Sky Sports reporter David Craig. So I'll read it out. We're very far, very, very far from where we should be. We're very far in terms of preparation, in terms of planning, in terms of the squad. So we're all very worried that in 2 or 3 days' time, we're playing for the Premier League, the most demanding competition in the world. The plans that we had didn't come through. The preparation in terms of the squad wasn't ideal. We didn't have a chance to create the bond, and that was what I think is more important, because we don't know what squad we have. We have players working here that know they're going to leave on loan. We have a major problem. So obviously the events of the last 24 hours might have changed how Nuno's feeling, but it's really interesting he's come out and said that, isn't it? What do you make of it?
This is out of character for Nuno. I think one of the things I've really liked from him is this projection of calm. And of course, there's pressure and scrutiny and things that don't always go your way in football. But Nuno always projects a man that's calm, in control, manages those things well, does things behind closed doors, doesn't want it to play out in public. So I think this kind of statement, which can be seen as a bit inflammatory and a bit of a challenge, be that to the ownership group or the player acquisition group, is not what I've come to expect from Nuno, who's just a model of calm. However, we can see the frustration. He had a core of players last year that gave their best shot at qualifying for the Champions League. However, the impact from the bench wasn't there. And when we needed to make changes in game or rotate for rest, for injury, for suspension, he didn't have the depth to do it. And he will have made that call very, very early in the debrief at the back end of last season, that we need bodies and numbers. They need to be in early to learn and understand his structures. And in an ideal world, they'd be testing their shape and their depth in the friendlies. We don't live in an ideal world. Some of these deals can't be done at that point in time. The Europa League, Conference League was a major jumping off point between the A list and the B list in terms of who we were going to be able to sign. And clubs were jealously guarding their talent, thinking there'd be a higher value for them later in the window. So I do understand Nuno's frustration, but I don't agree from the outside that Forest have underplayed their hand or done things wrongly in this transfer window. There's going to be a lot of late additions now. We can see that. We just talked about 4 that might be coming in the next 24, 48 hours. Understand his frustration, but yeah, just felt a bit out of character for me and doesn't project the calm that I've come to associate with Nuno.
Yeah, the only things I thought about it were, I do think there's a lot in the pre-season bond thing. So much was made of that Portugal trip last year when he got his message across and got his plans across, and he was able to do it again this year, but it was already with players that we had a year ago, so they know all the drill. So he probably did want players earlier. We didn't hear the question, and I just wonder, is the question, what impact has the Europa League, Conference League situation had? And he would say, it's given us a major problem. So I would have liked to hear the question as well for the context around the answer. But I agree, it is out of character. And maybe if you ask him the question again after these 4 signings come in, if they do, he'd give a different answer. But it is interesting, like you say. And some people might say, he's using the media to send a message. I don't think Nuno uses the media. I think he talks to the media as little as he can and gives away as little as he can normally. So as you say, it's interesting that he's actually gone out on a limb there and said that. So let's see how it plays out. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to Sunday anyway. I mean, just final thoughts on where we're at heading into the game before we pass the baton on to Emily and Lewis. Temps?
I think we're going to beat Brentford on Sunday. I think that the depth problem and the impact from the bench and the rotation comes later in the season where we've got tired limbs. They've been extremely disrupted with the players that they've lost and have gone or are on their way out of that club. We'll start the game as favourites, and I think we'll win with a clean sheet. I trust the 11 players that are going to start for Forest. I know more depth is going to come in. We're going to have a better bench in 3 weeks' time. We're going to have more options for the starting 11. But I fundamentally believe that our best 11 is better than Brentford's best 11, and we'll start our Premier League campaign with a win.
We forgot one other thing, and by we I mean I, because I just throw questions at you. Dharmesh Sheth reported that Callum Hudson-Odoi, the Sky Sports reporter Dharmesh Sheth, Callum Hudson-Odoi is set to sign a new contract, which would under the radar go in as massive news, wouldn't it, if that happens?
Huge. I'd started to believe that this was going to be Callum's final season, and that given his importance and the relatively cheap manner in which we brought him in, that there wouldn't be any need for a fire sale now or in January to extract 5, 7.5, 10 million quid for a player that was on his way out. I think we'd just get that value from him this year and shake hands and remember him fondly. This would be massive. You forget that Callum Hudson-Odoi is still only 24 years old. He played 130 games for Chelsea. I think he's got 3 England caps. He's so consistent, so efficient, retains the ball, but always looks to get at his fullback, tries the attacking thing first. If it's not on, he'll turn around, play a square pass, start again, recycle it. Rate him extremely highly. If he signs a new contract, it'll be a surprise from where I thought he was 3-4 months ago, and it will make us a better side for longer. Really, really positive news for Forest.
Yeah, I felt the same way as you. And I'll just add Danny Taylor in the Athletics reporting the same news as well. So, yeah, really good source there as well. So, sure, that will happen. Right. Thanks, Temps. We shall pass the baton to... At first, it goes to Emily. Lewis was supposed to join at 1:15, but he was late because he was on the golf course and rushed back kindly to join us. So, 10 minutes with Emily and then about 25 with Lewis and Emily, taking in the Brentford game, Callum Hudson-Odoi, and thoughts on the season ahead. So thanks to Temps. Do hit like on this video before you go. And if we don't see you tomorrow for the post-match show, no, the opposition preview, we shall see you soon. Emily, how are you?
I'm very good, thanks, Matt. Are you good?
I am good. Lewis McGugan should join us. That's the plan. He's running a little bit late. If he doesn't, then all fine. Me and Emily shall hold the fort, previous game in full, and do the transfer chat as well, as mentioned. How are you feeling about this game? Excited, I assume, but how are you feeling in general?
Yeah, really, really excited. It feels like a long time coming, doesn't it? And we've tried to get through the summer, haven't we, talking about various ins and outs, the drama off the field with the Europa League spot and friendlies that have been goddamn awful. So it feels great to finally be getting back to the Premier League, hopefully starting with a win and just enjoying the season. I genuinely do feel really excited about this one, because I feel like I know we've got to play every team twice, but it feels like a good time to play a Brentford that are a little bit in flux. They've lost players. I'm sure we'll talk about it more. They've obviously got their new manager in place, and just generally, I cannot wait to be going to the City Ground, the pre-match build-up, the anticipation, seeing the starting lineups, Mull of Kintyre, full City Ground, all that stuff that we love. Hopefully we get a clean sheet. Hopefully we score a goal, and hopefully we get a win. I went to the final 2 pre-season matches at the City Ground, and actually it was pretty good. The atmosphere was pretty good. The football wasn't great, but the atmosphere was good. But it means nothing, doesn't it, when you think about what it's going to be like with a completely full stadium and everyone there hoping Forest win, bar obviously the Brentford supporters. But yeah, really, really excited for the new season. Feels like we're in a good place after a bit of a tricky pre-season.
Are you at all worried that we're going into the game and a lot of people saying, "Oh, almost this is must win," or "There's so much on this team. Brentford are going to be rubbish. We have to win this game, etc., etc." I don't really see it that way. But are you worried that other people, a lot of fans, are seeing that way? And if we don't win, or if at worst we lose the game, are you worried about the meltdown that will ensue, or do you not see the game in that context?
I don't see the game in that context, and also I don't worry about the meltdowns. They don't bother me at all. It's one game, isn't it? I don't think you could put any pressure on any single game, because we have to play each team twice. We've got 38 games to play. And I had a quick look. We're not very good at winning our opening fixtures anyway. Was it Bournemouth last season?
Yeah.
Again, that was deemed, wasn't it, a bit of a must-win game, and we ended up getting a draw out of that. And I don't think we've won our opening fixture in the last 7 seasons. So if we don't win on Sunday, yeah, it'll be really disappointing because we've had a bit of a meh pre-season, but it really isn't the end of the world, actually, because since we've been in the Premier League, and in fact, every time we play Brentford, it's never easy, is it? We beat them last year at their place, but that felt like a bit of an anomaly because they seem to just be that team that we cannot quite beat, even when we're in a winning position. They seem to find a way to beat us. So yeah, of course, we all want 3 points on Sunday, but if we end up getting a draw or God forbid lose, it really isn't the end of the world. We've talked about our fixtures at the beginning. We've got a decent run, haven't we, to begin with, barring Arsenal away. But as we've seen from last season, there are certain games that you think are a must win and we end up messing up, and there are certain games that you think, hey, we ain't going to get anything out of that, and then we beat Liverpool at Anfield. So no, I don't feel the pressure of getting 3 points on Sunday, but clearly as a fan, that's what I'm aiming for. And I'm sure the players will be thinking that too. They're not going to go in with any complacency at all because it's a Premier League game. Brentford are a very decent side, and although they've lost players, they've still got, they've still got the spine of a team. I know there's some uncertainty with Wissa, um, but yeah, I go in hoping we can get 3 points, but it certainly isn't guaranteed.
I do go into it confident that I feel like I think we're in a better place than pre-season results might represent. We'll certainly come on to the transfers, and I think we'll definitely be in a better place by the end of the window. I do think it's going to be a really tight game. Like you say, these
Mm.
Brentford games are always tight. It's their first game, so I think they'll be well up for it. I don't know if we're underestimating them a little bit. I know they're missing Bremo and Visser. But they do have. I hope Kevin Sharder's out because he's a good player. They are going to be a tough team, aren't they? It's going to
Mm.
feel like a one goal either way game. And then I suppose the subsequent question is: do we have to score the first goal? Right back to last season.
Yeah, and in some ways, does that make us a little bit nervous if we score the first goal? Because I don't feel very comfortable, particularly with a team like Brentford, in sitting on a 1 goal lead. And yeah, that Whistler's up in the air, and they've lost Mabuemo and they've lost Norgard, but they have got Kelleher in goal now. He's a fantastic goalkeeper. I'd have had him at Forest. Obviously, pre Matt Sells becoming a Ballon d'Or nominee. Um, but they've got a decent team. They've brought Jordan Henderson as well, didn't they? Who I know is massively past it for England, but he's still a really solid midfielder for Brentford. And yeah, it's going to be one of those games I think that's going to be really edgy. I jokingly said pre-season, don't worry about not scoring. We're gonna hammer Brentford 5-0. Clearly, I can't see that happening, but you never know. But yeah, I think even though the players say, they're not worried about not scoring goals, and Nuno says pre-season's all about building match fitness. We know all that, but they're going to want to get that first goal. Chris Wood's probably going to feel a little bit of pressure possibly on his shoulders to score that first goal, which I'm sure he will, because I think he score for us last year against Bournemouth in the opening fixture. I'm sure he
Yeah,
did.
yeah, he did. Yeah.
And he scored our only goal in pre-season, so my money's on him hopefully to get the first goal for us. But just don't underestimate Brentford, because you know they've lost a few players, but it's not like they've been decimated.
I do think they'll struggle. I think that they're going to have a long
Mm.
season, but I don't think they're going to be absolute duds. Certainly, I think they'll be a strong, decent team. Just on Chris Wood, it's interesting that it feels like there's real pressure on his minutes coming with Igor Jesus to an extent, but we'll get into Kalimuendo. But if he joins as well, it's
Mm.
going to be an interesting season for Wood. See what he can do, and Taiwo as well feels like he's really sliding down the pecking order. Do you think Wood will be especially anxious to get off to a good start? Do you think?
I'm sure he will, but as you've seen with Chris Wood, he is the coolest customer, isn't he? He doesn't get overly stressed by things, he doesn't get overly excited by things, and he doesn't get overly down by things. It might be because of his heritage being from New Zealand, but he will obviously clearly want to get off to a good start and start scoring. But there's no denying that he's getting older. He's in his 30s now, and it really told last season. He had a fantastic season in front of goal, but that must have absolutely done him to be having to play all that games and knowing really, especially when Taiwo was in and out of fitness, that he was the only man up front. We've got the European competition to think about. We've obviously got the cups as well. So, we've always said we need two good strikers. And actually, it might do Chris Wood some good to have someone like Callum Hudson-Odoi who's sort of there trying to vie for his spot. Um, but I love Chris Wood. I can't see him replicating what he did last season, but I'm sure he'll be there and thereabouts in terms of scoring goals. Um, but I don't think it'll unduly bother him. He doesn't strike me as that sort of character that's going to be worrying about that. He knows what he can do. He knows what he offers to the team. Um, and, we know he can find the back of the net. So I don't think he'll be overly concerned.
Home game as well. Is that a big benefit? Two out of the first three games are at home against teams you'd
Yeah.
expect to be mid-table to bottom half. It
It
feels
can work
like,
both ways, can't it?
yeah. I mean,
Because
it feels like we have to cash in a bit or not.
I think that we put undue pressure on ourselves as fans, don't we, when we're at home, because we see the City ground as a fortress, and it has been, and obviously that kind of went a bit by the wayside towards the end of last season. But I think the pressure is only on ourselves in that regard. Brentford are really good away, aren't they? So you could look at it both sides. Brentford have got a fantastic away record in the Premier League last season. So they'll be probably coming to the City Ground thinking we can get something here. And actually, I don't remember the last time we beat them at the City Ground, because obviously last year they beat us 2-0. The year before that, did they beat us 3-2? I think they were one of our awful 3-2 teams that kept beating us.
Well,
So
there
we
was a
just,
1-1 draw in
it
between,
was a
but yeah.
1-1. Yeah, so it's fantastic to have the opening fixture at the City Ground, and that's what we want. But let's not put too much pressure on ourselves, which I know we will. And if we go 1-0 up, we'll all be just hoping and praying that we can get those 3 points.
Let's add Lewis McGugan in. Lewis, how are you?
Hi guys, you okay?
Hi,
Yeah,
Lewis.
good. You're a good man. Straight off the golf course to join us. I appreciate that. Yeah, a successful morning or not?
Average. It's nice to be back out on the course. I've not really had time at all with work to play, so it's just nice to be back out there. Some good things, a lot of bad things. So, but yeah.
You've led nicely into a question there. So it feels like you're coming off a bit of a pre-season type thing, getting back into it. From a player's point of view, you as a Forest player, these group of lads, they've gone through pre-season, they played all their friendlies. What's the difference between friendly and the first game in terms of the whole step up? And how long does it take for players to feel like, actually, I'm really back into the swing of things? Is it that first game, or does it take a bit longer?
Yeah, in terms of off the pitch, a lot of things different. This week will feel a little bit different. There's a little bit more stuff going on. You'll see it's a little bit different, but back when it was playing, you see the kind of the shirts getting printed, the badges getting put on the shirts. You'll see the kind of kit men really kind of going to work over that. So these little things all make that kind of feeling of the kind of the opening days coming. So off the pitch, this week does look a little bit different leading up to that. So in terms of on the pitch, in terms of where they are, no, they'll probably it's probably 3-4 games in until they really feel like they're in the kind of real swing of things, feeling really kind of comfortable and fit. The first few games, even though they've had that pre-season, it's such a transition from pre-season into the kind of the real season, because the adrenaline's there, kind of the atmosphere and everything to do with it as well. Sometimes there's energy sapping and stuff like that. So there's a lot of commotion around it, which is different to them pre-season games. So the players will be going through them over the first kind of couple of weeks, but 3 or 4 games in, you'll start to feel everything starts to settle down then. And kind of everyone relaxes, and then the season can really feel like it's there.
Just before I ask Lou a bit more about this game, quick word for the Trent Nav. All the games, the first 3 games are on Sky, so you can watch them all at the Nav on the big screens or indoors. Get your breakfast there, get your dinner there, make a day of it. Followers will have all the build-up and the team news, plus his interactive quiz. So thanks to the Nav for their support. Like I say, first 3 games are all on the big screen if you're not lucky enough to have a ticket. Right. What about this Brentford game in general, Lou? I said to Emily, it feels like fans have got a high level of expectation. I'm not sure I'm quite as comfortable. I am confident, but I'm not like, oh, it's a slam dunk or anything like that. How do you view this game?
Yeah, I don't think you can have that attitude when you're in the Premier League. I think every team is capable of getting results. I think if we look at it from going into it with Brentford, I think that there's been a lot of kind of noise what's happening at Brentford with a change of manager. Obviously, Keith's gone in, and I play with Keith at Watford, so I know Keith as I understand he'll be very kind of hands-on, and he'll be now the opportunity for him to get that role. I'm sure that he'll be leaving no stone unturned, and I think that's what it is. I think we have to understand that the Premier League, all these managers and players are capable, and it's like, yes, I know there's been a bit of uncertainty in terms of the change of manager at Brentford, but I think Brentford have been very good, hence why I think Keith's got the job. Is kind of they appoint from within, and not a lot changes, you know what I mean? The way they go about things is quite the same. So listen, I'm sure Keith will put his little touches on it, but in terms of the Brentford model, I think it is the same. So they're a very good team, a very good squad, and I think that we have to be ready. But I think this year, hopefully we can start kind of stamping our authority on these games, these kind of home games, when we're playing these teams that potentially are coming where we seem like favourites, where they potentially might sit in a little bit and see what we do. I think that's where we've potentially struggled a little bit of breaking down these teams. And I think when you look at it across the season last year, even the start of last season, the points that we dropped early on, it was Bournemouth and Wolves, and them games there where I think that's where if Nuno and the squad are looking to where can we again take more advantage, I think it's these kind of games at home.
Let's go into a couple of lineups then. Emily's done one, I've done one. Lewis can tell us where they're both wrong, but we'll do Emily's first. Emily, I'll read it out and then you can talk us through it. Ooh, I have to crane my head up. I've really cropped that badly. Sells in goal, Aina, Milenkovic, Murillo, Williams, then Gibbs, White and Anderson in a 2 with Odoi, Igor Jesus and Hudson-Odoi in behind Chris Wood. Emily, that's the team that started against Fiorentina, isn't it, I think? So what's your thinking there?
Well, obviously, cells in the back four speak for themselves, don't they? I think when they're all fit, there's your defence. And for me, automatic picks are always going to be Anderson and Gibbs White. So the question is, do you go for like a holding type midfielder like Sangare, or do you push Jesus up into that sort of number 10 role and leave Gibbs White a bit further behind? And I quite like that. I think as good as Sangare has been in pre-season, he's been really consistent, hasn't he? But I really like what Jesus offers. It's something a little bit different. Whether it works alongside Wood, it's hard to say, isn't it? It's almost like Chris Wood was put off by having Jesus there. So I may be wrong, but I feel like Jesus is a good one to start. Hudson-Odoi is an obvious pick for me, and I know Odoi played primarily on the left for Bologna, but I'd start him on the right, and they can invert like they did against Fiorentina. So for me, if we make no more signings before Sunday or before the deadline, that would be my starting lineup. The only possibility is benching Jesus and starting with Sangare, but that's what I would go for.
We'll do the transfers in a bit. I don't think, unless McAtee is available and Kalimuendo, we shall see. We'll get onto them. I'll just put my team up then because it's super similar, and then we'll ask Lou's thoughts. Same back five, which I hopefully we'll see all season. I have got Sangare in there, and I've got, for me, Gibbs White and Anderson playing as two kind of box-to-box number 8s. I hope we see this a bit more this season. I really like Morgan in a deeper role, so they can get up and down, Gibbs White and Anderson, and then Odoi, Hudson-Odoi and Wood. What would your team be, Lewis? Either of those or something different? What would you like to see from us?
No, I think you're both spot on, really. I think if we're all, as a fan base, I think 10 of the 11 are pretty much kind of dead starters, aren't they? It's just a case of what the manager decides to do. Does he decide to go with a 10 with Jesus, or does he put kind of a little bit more defensive-minded midfielder in and allow Morgan and Anderson to be that kind of attacking threat from midfield? I think that's the only kind of change and possibility, which we still don't know how it's going to look. But I think pretty much the rest of that is banked on, yeah.
Let's just talk about. Let's do transfers then. This is quite a truncated podcast. I have to apologise. I got a text this morning saying I've got a dentist appointment at 2 p.m. And if you miss an NHS dentist appointment, they boot you off the list. So we're rattling through it a little bit. Let's talk Arnaud Kalimuendo then, who looks like Forest are going to sign from Rennes for £26 million. He got 17 goals last season in League 1. And 17 goals, 3 assists, 33 games. He's played up until France, up until the Olympics level, so under 21s effectively. His shot output, this is from WT Analysis, is excellent. His shot conversion, his shot quality, his ball carrying, that kind of thing. He can play up front on his own, or he can play off the right in a 3. Primarily, he's played on his own, but he can play off the right. Emily, I know you've had a bit of a chance to look at him, do some reading on him. Fans are very excited about it. How are you feeling?
Very excited from what you've just told me. Before the news sort of came out that we were looks like we're going to get him. I didn't really know much about him, to be honest, but yeah, the stats look great, don't they? The right age profile for us, the fact that he's versatile, can play up on the right and also down the centre. He can clearly score goals in Ligue 1. Whether that translates to the Premier League is another story, because as we know, it's a completely different league. But I trust our scouts. We don't get many duds, do we, these days with Forest? So he looks like a great addition to our team, a good backup to Chris Wood, someone that will challenge Chris Wood for that number 9 spot. And with all the extra games that we've already talked about that we're going to be facing this year, it sounds like a really good one for me. So yeah, big thumbs up from me.
Are you surprised we're going for another striker, Lewis? Wood and Jesus are slightly different types. One's proper number 9, one comes deeper. Kalimuendo seems like he's something different again as an athlete, a ball carrier, a good finisher. He looks a bit Ollie Watkins from the very bit I've seen of him, that kind of player who can do a bit of everything. Are you surprised we've gone for another striker with Tyro on the books as well, or not?
No, not at all. I think it's a massive kind of department that we need to strengthen. I think obviously with Jesus coming in, and he's played and predominantly he's played in that number 10 role, and I don't know if that was his role that he played. From my understanding, when he played in Brazil, he was kind of that main target, number 9. So that's a different role, and potentially the manager felt when Jesus coming in that he's going to play a different role, which maybe have looked at why they've gone out and got someone. I think we need to get someone a little bit different that can stretch it that way a little bit more. I think can kind of run in behind and stretch the pitch a little bit more. Again, I think Chris Wood does a great job in terms of being that focal point and allow players to come and use him and bounce off him and then go and play. So I think it's something that we need. We need that kind of pace in behind to stretch games. And if you look at Wissa, obviously the interest in him, it looks a bit of the same type of player, that player that can kind of maybe play off a side also. So I think if you look at it, I think Nottingham Forest have very much got a type of striker that they're looking at and what they want to bring in. And unfortunately, like I said, they go for different targets and don't happen. But I think this one's along there where I think is completely different to the strikers that are in the building.
Where's this leave Taiwo, do you think, Lewis? Or will they keep him and Chris Wood goes in a year? I guess it's conjecture here, but 4 strikers is a lot to carry.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that potentially I don't see Taiwo playing that much really. That's just kind of my honest opinion. I think he's been terrific for the football club. I think through that transition period, I think what he's done and when he's come in, he's had a lot of negativity there. He's had a lot of kind of stick at times, but he's kind of kept on going. And I think that's just reality of football clubs. The club's moved on from when he came into the football club. I feel like we may be in a different place now and we need something different. And that happens. And I think what we have to understand and what we have to do is appreciate him, what he's done and what he's brought to this football club. But if it's time to maybe go separate ways, we kind of go in that good nature and we wish him well, and that may happen.
Let's talk about a couple of other players then quickly. McAtee, Emily, looks like he's signing. I'll ask Lou a McAtee question in a minute. Is this a positive addition to squad depth? Potentially a starter as well. Obviously, he won't come here just to sit on the bench. But if he signs a 5-year contract as reported, are you going to be happy with that?
Really happy, really excited about McAtee. I've liked him for a long time. Again, he's just the right profile of player for us. He's young, he's homegrown, he's been to the Pep School of playing football, but he's also experienced life outside of that elite system, playing for Sheffield United, which was a bit of a struggle, but understandably the squad wasn't the strongest. He seems to have a great attitude. He can play in different positions. You could argue that maybe he doesn't know which his best position is, but he knows how to find the goal. He captained the England under-21, so he's obviously got a good head on his shoulders. And I think for the right price, he feels like the sort of player that Nuno could really bring on. And it's really exciting to think of him playing alongside Gibbs White, Anderson. I just very much hope that happens. It looks like it's happening. So really excited for him to join Forest.
I suppose, Lou, are you interested where all these pieces of the jigsaw come together? What's McAtee's part of it? Where does that leave Sangare? Where does it leave Dan and Doy? How this all moves together? Is that what you're most keen to see how it plays out?
Yeah, I think you always look when people come into the building. Unfortunately, the nature of football, that some people are going to have to leave the building. That's it. So my thing on him, I think the price is what's quoted. I think in this day and age, I don't think it's that much money. So I think it looks like a good deal. I'm not sure where he plays. I'm not sure where he goes into this team. For me, you can't play a midfield three of McAtee, Anderson, and Gibbs-White. Not in the Premier League. Not in my opinion. I just think that's too. I think it's quite lightweight, and I think when you look in the Premier League now and the athletes in that sense, a lot of teams, that's what they have first and foremost. They have big kind of athletes that are very good box to box runners that can run and very disciplined in what they do. Like I said, I think them three individually are very, very good players. But I think to get them to be the best, I think you've got to kind of put the pieces around them to allow them to kind of get the best out. And I just think that as a midfield three for me wouldn't work, in my opinion. So I'm not sure how. Yeah, I'm not sure where he fits, because I think, does he play ahead of Anderson? For me, no. Does he play ahead of Gibbs-White? For me, no. Right, okay, then it's a possibility of then him potentially playing. I can't see him really playing off a side, not with how we play. I think we play with out-and-out wingers. So yeah, that's one of them. Like I said, I think, again, players like that to come into a squad, I think it's going to make the squad as a whole better. But if you ask me where does he fit into kind of that team, I'm still not sure.
I suppose the argument is, though, that, last season we had a great starting 11, but didn't have any bench options. And actually, does he not replace Gibbs-White after 60 minutes and finish the game, or vice versa? We've been crying out for a stronger squad, and it feels like he gives us that strength and depth that we desperately need.
No, and I completely get that. But again, that's the thing of, really, it's difficult. We had a conversation when I was last on about fullbacks replacing and getting depth in that. I know Matt just said it briefly there. I don't think he leaves Manchester City to come and play and come and be on the bench here.
Yeah,
potentially come and be a supporting cast for that. And that's that difficult. Emily, that we always talk about.
That's such a fine line, isn't it? It's such a fine line, because how do you get the quality of player? And it's the way you sell it to them, isn't it, I guess? But it's really difficult.
It's really difficult. I know if we go back to Tottenham, always had the difficulty of getting another striker. It's like, well, Harry Kane's always going to play. And it's like, well, I know that I'm always going to be second choice. And it's that difficulty. But what you try and sell is the squad. You try and sell, obviously, the numerous competitions that we're going to be in. But yeah, and I think that is left to the recruitment team and the manager to sell that. But again, that's not saying here that McAtee is going to come and demand to play. But I think wherever he's leaving Man City, he's wanting to come into an environment that he sees he's going to play 25, at least 30 games a season. So
I suppose the big thing, I wrote down a possible bench for the game on Sunday, and it had Bolly, Morato, Jaya Cunha and Abbott on it. 4 centre halves out of 9 is not even an unreasonable thing. So it shows, I guess, Emily, doesn't it, that, like you say, we do need a squad. We're going to sign another midfielder. We're going to sign fullbacks. If we are going to do anything this season, we probably can't have 4 centre backs on a bench every game, can we?
No, not at all. And the pre-season friendlies, I know it's different because it is just about fitness and formations and stuff, but there was a marked difference, not in a good way, when that first 11 came off after 60 minutes. And we had 6 or 7 centre backs on the field at one time, so our attacking options do feel a little bit threadbare at the moment. But Lewis is absolutely right. Trying to persuade McAtee to come and sit on our bench for the first 60 minutes is probably a bit of a hard sell, but I'm sure they'll find a way. I seem to remember when Anderson came, we were worried about where would he sit, because we thought he was going to be in the Morgan Gibbs-White role, and we found a place for him. So hopefully Nuno's got a plan. I'm sure he has.
A couple of other players to mention from John Percy. Mateus Fernandes is still very high on the list. Yunus Musa is also on there. It feels like Fernandes 1, Musa 2. Again, no mention of Douglas Luiz in John's piece at all, but another central midfielder to come in. We say this every year, Lou. Ryan Yates, the pressure on his minutes, all that kind of stuff. We're probably there again. Interesting season for Yates to try and prove the doubt was wrong and get minutes, or is this for the season where actually maybe he does struggle, do you think?
I never know. I think what you also have to understand the kind of job that he does around the football club in the training ground every day as that homegrown player, that captain. But again, also from that kind of the point he was looking at from a player, he'll want to play. He'll want to be playing every week. So I think it's that case of also he loves this football club, and he is this football club, and we're asking that question about where he's. But I think also from his point of view, from player point of view, he's always going to be asking them questions as well of how does my role see, where do I sit here? Because as much as, again, he's a vital part of this club, he's not going to go on and sit on the bench week in, week out and not getting many minutes. So potentially that's a conversation that will need to be had in terms of how it looks coming to the end of the transfer window. And listen, there might be a change, but I think in that department, I think there'll be one, probably two that will probably leave the building. So will that be Yatesy? I'm not sure. We'll obviously wait and see. But I do think, again, it's also asking that question of what he will want to go and play week in, week out. That's the kind of character he is, that's the player he is. So, and if that opportunity isn't going to be here, I'm sure that he'll be asking questions as well.
Yeah, and just in terms of other outgoings, just like Jota to Sporting Lisbon, potentially Carlos Miguel to Palmeiras. So they're the primary ones. And then the players who are coming off the bench, Stamanic, Carmo, Richards, looks like they're going to go as well. Right, just before we wrap things up, a quick word of thanks for Home Move Estate Agents. If you're looking to buy or sell in the Notts area, do check out the link in the description or drop Ben an email, ben@homemoveea.co.uk. But go to their website and you can see everything that's on the market. And if you're looking to sell yourself, do get in touch. They are 5-star rated on Google, of course. Right, Emily, final thoughts from you on, I guess, the game, the transfer situation with Kalimuendo coming in. How are you feeling about everything?
Really good, really excited. Like I said at the beginning of the pod, it feels like this has been a long pre-season with all the things happening off the pitch. So really looking forward to actually talking about football, talking about results, hopefully getting off to a winning start. And if we don't win on Sunday, don't panic, because we don't normally win our first fixture anyway, so it's not the end of the world. It's a full season, it's a long season. It's going to be really busy this year with those Europa games as well, but I'm very, very excited.
What about final thoughts from you, Lou? You've come on for a bit of a condensed appearance, so I'm not giving you a full chance to get all your thoughts out. What would you like to say before we go?
No, I think it's a really exciting time. I think now, especially in terms of the Europa League and stuff like that, it's now going to see where this squad and how this squad shapes up and looks until the end of the window. And I think that's an exciting time. I think we're in positions, an opportunity to be signing players that say 2-3 years ago we'd dream of signing. So I think it's, again, how does this squad look come to the end of the window? And let's see where we are and really enjoy the season in terms of the Premier League again and European football.
Yeah, that was a big thing I was thinking when I did a video on Kalimuendo earlier. Like, these are players that we would never have got. You think about when we were the season before we got promoted and all that, we would never have got near these players. So it's really exciting to be talking about them, certainly. Right, we shall leave it there. If you want to join the FPL League, I get lots of tweets asking to join this league. It's 8 lowercase e 6 OJH. They're all lowercase as well. The deadline is tonight as this comes out, so do sign up for that. If you've enjoyed this, do a favour, hit like, hit subscribe, do consider membership or Patreon, or just a lovely 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. We'll be back tomorrow with Billy the Bee, the Brentford fan. I do think I talk about Kalimuendo with Brentford potentially signing him, but obviously not the case. And then we'll be back on Sunday with a post-match show, Monday with Kelv to break down the game in full. Emily, thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I quickly just mention a lovely letter I got very quickly?
Oh yeah, please.
Thank you to lovely David in Lincoln that sent a letter to my work with some money for you, Matt. So I'll make sure you get that. He's a Forest Focus listener, loves the podcast, isn't on social media, hence why I got the letter, which was really nice to receive. So thank you so much for that. And I'm sure Matt will be really pleased with the dosh that's coming your way, Matt.
I will. Thank you very much, David. Appreciate that. And well done for not being on social media. You're probably a lot happier person than the rest of us. Appreciate that very much. Right. Let's leave it there. Lou, thank you very much.
No problem.
What a man. You're dashing off the golf course. We'll have Lewis back on soon, I'm sure. But in the meantime, have a good day, everyone. And if we don't see you tomorrow, we shall see you soon. Hi there. Just a small extra word at the end to say that the Brentford game is sold out. The West Ham game will probably sell out as well. But if you're looking for tickets and you want to treat yourself, you can get hospitality tickets through Seat Unique. The link is in the description. We'll have links for all the home games throughout the season. So if you want to, as I say, treat yourself a little bit and get tickets for a Forest home game in hospitality, click the link in the description. It helped me out as well. I do get a little kickback from it if you buy through that link. So do check that out. And like I say, we'll be back tomorrow. But in the meantime, thank you very much.